It's Sue Greenwald here with Awaken Stories, and we're talking today with the one and only John F. Kennedy Jr. Hey, John, how are you doing today?
I am doing great. We are going live on TikTok, and I just got notified that we went live.
Yay! We've had a lot of tomfoolery with our technology lately, and I'm going to say that across the board, pretty much everybody. And it's all good, you know. That's how the dark forces expose themselves, right?
Yeah.
They don't
So,
want
you people here on TikTok that are joining us, I am live with Sue Greenwald, Awaken Stories on YouTube. You can see us both on there. I figured we'd get as many people and share the story as much as we can. So,
to.
Awaken to Stories on YouTube with Sue Greenwald.
Yay, thank you, thank you.
Oh, well, thank
So
you.
we always talk about the basis, your life story, if you will, the book you wrote, Stolen Identity, by John F. Kennedy Jr., right? Available on either Amazon or Barnes and Noble. Very easy book to read. If you don't like to read, this is something you can read in little dribs and drabs to get the story. The content is hard to hear. Okay, and yeah,
Yeah,
very
it's a really emotional book. My book,
totally,
Stolen Identity.
totally.
This right here, the whole world needs to read this book. They really,
Yeah,
really do,
yeah,
because I'm exposing the cabal at the very top, what people are programmed, and yeah, it exposes what the evil that really goes on within our government, and how we're all slaves to our government, basically.
right. So I get so many comments all the time about, you and you're not the right, you don't look the same as the one we saw on the cover of People magazine, and you don't talk with a Boston accent and blah, 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 blah. So if you read the book, you'll actually get the full story. So that
Yeah,
person that we saw on People magazine was an imposter. He was given John's identity, hence the name Stolen.
stolen identity. Yeah.
And,
Yeah, we get so many people that don't do the research in what I'm sharing.
yeah.
So many hateful comments. We're up against the biggest crime ring, the best crime ring in the world. We really are. They have all the technology to deceive us and every other thing. And we get these comments. Our last interviews, I shared that somebody gifted me a nice watch, a beautiful watch. And somebody made a comment, well, you can't be John Kennedy Jr. Why are you worried about getting a watch? Just nonsense. Having a nice watch, something I wanted my whole entire life, does not change the fact that I was kidnapped, I was beat, I was tortured, I was replaced by organized crime in our government to steal billions of dollars. Having a nice watch has nothing to do with that. But there's so many hateful comments that pop up.
Right.
It's unbelievable. But there's a lot of beautiful, wonderful people that are getting it and saying, "Wow, I knew there was something up." The older crowd, the people above 50, they're like,
Yeah.
I knew he didn't look like the Kennedys whatsoever. And I get so many comments like that. And then you get the haters that say, you look nothing like your father or your mother, and so on and so forth.
Yeah. Well, when you put your picture side by side with your dad, which I'll show from your website later on, to me it's identical. It's just, and also there was one with the top and the bottom of each of your faces, identical. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of hateful comments too. And one of them that really gets me emotional is, you can't be John Fitzgerald Kennedy Jr. because they would have killed you already. Well, obviously, the people that just made that statement, they would have killed me already, realize how corrupt our government is. They
Yeah.
must, if they're saying that you would have been unalived.
Yeah.
Well, I had a lot of protection. I had to live life on the down low. I had to disassociate with anybody. I drove truck for years. I spent Christmas and Thanksgiving all by myself in a truck. I had to dozens and dozens of jobs just because I didn't want people to find me. Like I've shared with you, Sue, I had to check into motels just to sleep outside in the grass to see who was going to come to my door. Many things I had to do. So huge achievements. This watch is a huge achievement. Screw the haters. Screw
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, well, there's always going to be haters. And then you have to wonder why they're so adamant. Why are they so against you being who you are? I had a comment last week, maybe 4 or 5 times, like they're screaming at me, and I'm like, don't believe it, just watch. The story is going to be exposed this year, 2025, full truth and disclosure, like we said last week. All right. No negotiations there. It's coming out. And everybody here that's watching has been so helpful. They've been sharing the story, they've been sharing the memes. We've been upping the social media presence. They're buying the books, writing comments, sharing the books. All of those little things that we each can do easily and for free basically help share the story. And obviously, we want to help you, John. You know, we want to help you and support
Yeah,
you and all of that. But
it's so
it's
appreciated too.
it's bigger than just one person. This is a, a huge story. Our government is, doing all this nefarious stuff to our people, a president's son, and then keeping them in poverty for the rest of their life, keeping them so that they can never come out and promote their story. They can never have a normal life. They can never feel like a regular person because of all the betrayal and the distrust and all of the harmful things that have been done to them their whole lives. So,
Yeah, I have learned so much in my lifetime, so much over the years on how the criminals work, um, child trafficking, kidnapping, how they can get children, forge birth certificates, um, make up children, then take their fake birth certificate to the Social Security office, and that cinches it. Um, once you have that Social Security number, even though your birth certificate was a total forgery. But yeah, back to the haters. I get so many comments, and with that said, I'm lighting a cigarette.
well, then I'll do the talking for now.
No, people say I need to give up that expensive habit. I need to give it up. Well, I've been smoking since I was 13 years old. I can't give it up. I'll go crazy if I give it up. Um, that's just how it is. If I can't afford it, I'll roll them. I'll go find one on the ground. People say, "Oh, you got a new watch. This is just last week. Somebody, beautiful soul, gifted me a watch. Said, I want you to have this because you've been through." Oh, I can't do that on TikTok. I just got a warning. But they say, yeah, you can't you can't have a nice watch. You need to sell your watch. You can't have a nice motorcycle. You need to sell your motorcycle to share your story. People don't understand. I'm sharing my story to save lives, to save the children, to save you, to wake people up. And they're telling me I need to give up my things and go back to living in poverty.
Yeah.
What's up with that? I don't tell everybody, go give up your things.
Yeah. Well, we've talked about this before. There's a lot of celebrities, offspring, that are their identities are stolen, or their nefarious things happen to them, very ugly, ugly things. And when they, we'll call it escape, which is not a good word, they're kept in poverty. So they don't have the money or resources to go out and get their story out there, right? So
Right.
doing the book is a huge accomplishment,
Yeah,
right?
they know the cabal knows how to they know
Yeah,
how to get free advertising because the media is all a
yeah,
regime now. They're all bought off.
yeah,
So they plan little things, assassination attempts and get it all for a big photo op to make it world news. So that name is all over for free. A little guy like me, my father was the president. I'm sharing my story about all my loved ones unalived. It's freaking huge. It should be on all the channels right now. Hey, he came out. Um, but they know how to. They're not. They're the best at. Like I said earlier, they're the best of what they do. The best of the best.
well, we all kind of laugh about how corrupt the government is, right? We've grown up laughing, ha ha ha, and we go about our business. But look at it this way, the government is killing people. they're covering things up. They're changing people's identity. They're taking their money, their assets, their resources, their power and control. That is big time crime.
Oh, it's huge at the
Big
top.
time
I've
crime.
seen it. I've lived it. When I was young, I seen so much death.
Yeah,
It's a constant war at the top. It
yeah,
really is. It is a battle to for the power of the United States of America. It's war. In war, you have hundreds and thousands of troops go to another country, invade that country. Trillions of dollars spent into taking over a country. Well, what they do at the top is they just send in their spies. They use their poison. They use their identity theft. Their plastic surgeons, their doctors, their dentists. They use identity theft to take it over at the top. They replace one person at the top. They're instant billionaires. And that's how it's done. That's what I'm trying to explain
right,
how it's done. It's
right.
not, when the United States was taken over, it wasn't by troops landing on our soil. That could be next, but
Yeah.
excuse me.
Well, people are always talking about aliens invading Earth, right? And of course, we've got every movie out there. The aliens come and they're blasting us and everyone's running and screaming. What if our Earth has been taken over, but quietly, that we don't even know it's been taken over? And that's trickled down to corrupt people, humans, that basically they don't care what they do to other people as long as they have what they want: power, control, admiration, whatever it might be. What if that were true?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, in my experiences, these people that were taking over had no regard for children's lives,
yeah,
human lives. I mean, it didn't matter. They were willing to take a child's life to get the riches and the power of our United States government.
yeah,
And I've seen it. I could use example after example, and maybe I will in the next book share some more stories, some more gory that
yeah,
some more of the wake up. Hey,
yeah,
this really goes on. They're really getting children, cutting bodies up, disposing bodies. Um, so
right.
many stories that really touch my heart and break down that people aren't aware of what goes on to control the United States of America and the country we live in, and that affects all the other countries.
It affects everyone on earth. We were talking before we got on live how the young people don't really know much about history or pretty much anything, kind of joking, but not really. And they don't really 100% get the importance of the story. All right. So they took John's identity, they switched him out. He's lived a horrible life filled with like we talked about kidnapping, torture, all sorts of horrible experiences, very little happiness and joy and support, okay, throughout your whole life. While the other person in your place lived a life of luxury, wealthy,
Yeah.
admired, respected. People still are expecting he's the real John Kennedy Jr., right?
Yeah,
And
but see, that works good for me because he stole my identity and he was living the life of luxury, riding around in limousines, drinking his champagne, eating his caviar,
yeah,
sporting his $100,000 Rolex watch, and all the possessions he had that were really should have been mine,
yeah,
while I was living and learning the streets. I was learning survival, how to stay alive. I was learning the ins and outs of organized crime and how they try to come after you and take your life, how they go after people and take their lives.
yeah,
I learned so much on just, you know, the homeless and the food shelters. And I learned so much living on the streets. I learned my things and he learned his,
right.
but we only
Well,
have one life. So,
well, your street smarts and your intuition has saved you so many times. Like you told the story about you check into a motel or whatever, but sleep in the bushes or whatever. Like, and you saw people trying to go into your room, right? And that saved you so many times.
yeah. Well, I've actually had to pull a weapon 3 or 4 times on people in my life. And your adrenaline It's a total adrenaline rush when you're pointing a weapon at somebody and they have a weapon, and it's like you could take this person's life if you have to that quick. But it's like a total adrenaline rush. You don't want to take their life, but it's something you have to do to stay alive, or you would be killed. Um, yeah, it's hard to explain.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw a video the other day, and it was a man who he had been in the military. So 9/11 happened, and we're told these terrorists came and blah, blah, blah. And we always have to have an enemy, right? And it's never the government, it's someone else. So he joined the army, he did whatever he did. They went and they were looking for weapons and things, probably in, I don't know, it doesn't matter. Okay. Fraudulent information. So people are, they're tricked into joining the military, or, we might be having a war. Again, the whole cause of war is fraudulent, right? So they go over, they do whatever they've got to do. They, at the time they may feel justified. All right. It's us against them, right? Think of how they're going to feel when they find out the truth of what's been happening.
Yeah, well, I was raised, it's in my book, but I was protected by the HA. Um, and most those brothers of mine were a lot of them were in Vietnam vets. The older ones, back to World War II and things like that. But they taught me what I needed to know to survive.
Right.
A lot of them that I know aren't alive to this day.
Right.
Um, Agent Orange and other things took their
Right.
lives. But what they thought going to Vietnam about, the people above them in government, making them sending them halfway around the world to fight a war. It,
It's horrible, horrible. And when people find out the truth, they're going to be, well, they're going to be shocked, they're going to be angry, and it's going to be ugly. Like, look at all the lives every country has lost for fraudulent reasons.
yeah,
Because,
our CIA
yep,
and our government is so good at false flags. If it's huge. You can get two countries and they can make them hate each other, and they don't, we don't even have to fight their war, but we'll get them into a war. And they're the best at what they do,
yeah,
and that's evil. That's to line their pockets.
yep, yep. And I like to think that's being flushed out now. But I think again with our, our cameras on our phone, everyone has one now. We're seeing video, we're seeing proof, we're seeing this, we're seeing that. People are slowly waking up to what's been happening all these years. And of course, it hasn't just been happening in the past 50 or 60 years, it's been happening for hundreds of years. But now we're seeing it. And really, the big concern is really what's happening with all these people that go missing, mostly children, but people of all ages go missing. Where
Yeah.
are they? And
All
now,
the milk cartons. I remember that,
yeah,
in the 70s, milk cartons.
yeah. And
What
we
what's
are,
really going on? Where are they being trafficked to? What country are they becoming slaves to for, you people on TikTok, I am live with the beautiful Sue Greenwald, Awaken Stories. You can go to the YouTube channel and find us there, see us there. But thanks, please share. Let's get the truth out to the world.
we're double dipping.
Yeah, we're getting two for one here.
Yeah. What I was going to say though is a lot of video has been coming forth recently about these storage containers with people in them.
Oh, I saw something that broke my heart because I've been in those storage containers myself, and I've been there with others, and I was trying to save their lives because they were just freaking out. But I saw a video of a lift, and it had one of those containers in it. It was putting it on the ship, and you could hear the children screaming. I don't know
I
if it
know.
was fake or not,
Yep.
but
No.
it hit home to me because I've been there.
Yeah.
Those containers are all over. Every rancher has a couple of them in their yard, and it's so easy. You could put whatever you want in there and close the door. And nobody will know what kind of mischief you're up to. But it was really heartbreaking to see that video and hear them people screaming in there, them kids.
Wow. So I have seen similar videos, and it's like the screams are real, the pounding on the wall is real. And it's so much bigger than we know. And
Yeah, I mean
so
it's
much
dark
bigger.
in there.
Yeah.
I like I said, I've been tortured many times. I was thrown in dog cages and everything, but I've been in one of those containers. And what they do to disrespect you and to humiliate you, there'll be people tied up in those, and they'll come up and stick their genitals in your face and crazy things like that, just to, I don't know if it's to get you fearful or what, but
Just to be
and
nasty.
that's happened to me. And I was just like,
Wow. Now, what was the circumstances that you were in the storage container? Can you talk about that?
it was just one of the times that I was kidnapped, probably for extortion money.
Okay. So for those that are new to the videos, John was often kidnapped when the kidnappers wanted money. And they would kidnap him, and basically your mother would end up paying the ransom, and they would
Yeah, so
money.
I was put with the Quigleys.
Yeah.
They were my handlers. And what do handlers do? They they were into all kinds of forgery and crimes and things like that. So when they needed money, they would come to the Quigleys and grab little John Kennedy Jr. that nobody knew where he was, or you know, um, hidden and lost. That was always huge in my life. Hidden and
Right.
lost.
Right.
They hid me out, but they lost me to the cabal. Yeah, they
Right.
used me. They used the shit out of me, and it
Yeah.
was all for fortunes. Like I've said, they stole billions, billions. And my biggest thing, excuse me, my biggest thing when they used me was if somebody was trying to find me, trying to locate where I was at the Quigleys, they would get their private investigators locate me, but it was almost like they were sucking people in to unalive them. So I'm thinking, how many of my real loved ones tried to find me and were unalived trying to find me? And that really hits my heart because they did a number that people don't really know. Like I said, it's a war. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice.
It is definitely a war. And it's been kind of like behind the scenes. So we've been basically bebopping along with our happy lives, working, raising our families, eating, drinking, going to sleep, watching TV, when all of this is really starting to make headlines. So 20 or 30 years ago, nobody knew about trafficking, right? Or we'd see the milk cartons and we would always assume they were runaways, pretty much, right?
Yeah,
Pretty much that's what we thought because there wasn't that many of them. Well, now that we really have better communication abilities with the internet, we're finding out how many people really go missing every year. It's very easy to get those numbers now, and
yeah,
it is astronomical. Where are they? I wonder. I do.
yeah. It's the same thing. Like you see all these tunnels, and the cartel and everything. They're huge, miles of tunnels just to smuggle drugs.
Yeah.
That took literally probably hundreds of people digging, hundreds, and they're not allowed to tell. Hey, we dug a drug tunnel here. What happens to those people?
Yeah.
They're just slaves. It's scary what could happen to those people that they make labor on all that at the end.
Yeah. It's not a happy ending, I'm pretty sure. I found out about the border town or whatever you want to call it, the border issue 20 plus years ago. Somebody told me there was actually a brochure that they had made to bring awareness and all of that. So a lot of the families don't have money, so they send their child across the border to the US, right? They walk across the border, they get captured, and they end up in a fenced in place. and then they can never leave because they don't have citizenship, right? They're a minor, they can never leave, ever. But what we found in the past few years is there are mass graves in that area, mass graves. And no one has ever investigated this, ever, officially. Like we know about it, but nothing's been done. Horrible.
Yeah. I met a gal the other last week and we were talking about bodies in 55-gallon drums and how one was found in Lake Mead there in Vegas
Yeah.
from the 70s. 70s were hell. It was total mafia war in the 70s. And what gets me is people say, the news says, oh, the mafia doesn't exist anymore. When they are so huge and so powerful right now, you just don't see it. It's a secret society. And they're not advertising people. And,
Yeah. Yeah.
they bought out everything. But yeah, I get thinking about unalives and things like that. And it gets me thinking in all kinds of directions because
Yeah.
I've seen it. I think even in my book, I said there was somebody getting drowned in a 55-gallon drum. And I actually woke up from the MK Ultra state and I started punching people to stop it. And they grabbed me and set me on a table and stuck bamboo under my fingernails.
Ooh.
And that is really, really, really painful until I passed out. Um, but yeah, the torture that they can do to keep their unalive secret.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about MK Ultra for those that don't know. It's kind of a basically a hypnosis state. Your mind has been, we'll call it broken or fractured. So they've basically tortured you, and then they can implant their commands to you. And those commands can be for future dates or events. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, they say the smartest people in the world just use a fraction of their brain capacity, what they can really use, just a fraction of it. So I believe because when you're under MK Ultra, you're awake, you're functioning, but once you go to sleep and wake up, you never know what happened. It's like the whole other side of your brain you're using. Um, but yeah, it's a deep, deep hypnosis.
Yeah.
It's a weapon of war. It's one of the hugest weapons you can get people to kill for you, to steal for you, and they don't remember the next day. They don't even know why they're doing it because they've been programmed to do it. And
Right.
I've seen people beat and beat. I've seen people sitting in a chair and beat, just like me. Um, and you're under a state. If you know hypnosis, you can tell somebody that's Marilyn Monroe, okay? And they're under hypnosis. And, let's say Robin is standing there and somebody, the person conducting the hypnosis says, Robin is Marilyn Monroe. And you can get somebody stand there and they'll go give Robin a big hug and a kiss and say, oh, I love you, Marilyn. But it's not. So it's the same thing under MK Ultra, but the people that know how to use it can
Right.
use that. So if you're sitting in a chair and they're beating you under hypnosis and they walk in and you say, that's the guy in the red shirt over and over again. And after that's all done, you say, you're going to unalive the guy in the red shirt to get even. So the next guy in a red shirt, boom, he gets unalive from the guy that was just tortured for days.
Right.
The guy doesn't even know why he did it or how he did it, or it's a
Right.
it's a powerful, powerful weapon of war. And our United States government, our CIA, experimented, with all their drugs and all their torture to perfect it, and they have perfected it. I'm a witness to that. It's a powerful weapon, and our government is using it on civilians like me and many other people to get what they want, to get their billions and stay in power.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, just think if you were a crook and a criminal and you had all the money in the world and you wanted more money and you had these people at your disposal, just throw away people. They call them sticks. Wayne used to call them sticks. That's a stick because what do you do with a stick? You just throw it on the fire. That's what Wayne used to call the throwaway people. So you get these people, you put them under MK Ultra, you tell them to go shoot up a school. They're a stick. They get shot in return. Trump, the Trump attempted assassination. That man was a stick in the CIA terms. He was a throwaway. He
Right,
was used. He was more than likely MK Ultra to do what he did,
right.
straight up. And our FBI and our Secret Service, they know they could track it. Um, you know, who showed up at this guy's house in the midnight, um, you know, weeks prior to the attempt. They know all this. Yeah, but they ain't advertising. I'm advertising.
Right, you're letting us know. And I think that we as a people have been programmed very heavily. Like it seems like people just don't have, I don't know, the wherewithal. I don't know what better word to use. Like TV has the ability to program us. So let's just use that as an example. In the 1950s, they used to they did experiments on us, subliminal messages to the viewer to eat something or to buy this or buy that, and they noticed this, like let's say popcorn in a movie. I think that was where one of the studies was done. Buy popcorn, buy soda. The sales went up, say 300%. Okay, so then they tried it on TV. Who's to say they're still not doing that on TV? You notice how they have fast food commercials in the evening? Like you're sitting down for the night, it's pizza and Burger King and whatever else.
Oh,
And
it's also planned out.
yeah,
It's so planned out.
yeah,
Just like the making of the Big Mac, they got scientists in there and did their test tasting, and they wanted the perfect tasting hamburger, and boom comes a Big Mac.
yeah.
It's all planned. The soda pop and the candy, and they knew diabetes was coming. So they're filling up all these kids with junk food,
Yep.
waiting for them to get old so they can get their prescription diabetes medicine.
Right. Yeah, it's ugly. It's a very vicious cycle. And then we talk about fast food. What is in that food? Well, there's been a lot of reports coming out lately. Now, many of us know what's in those burgers. All right. And I kind of hate to be so negative. It always feels like we're negative because we're talking about dark and negative things, but we have to do it, I think, to get the story out there until we can talk about the positive, what's coming for the future. All right. So we've been seeing a lot of reports. Do we have, what do you,
I'm sharing with the people that are on TikTok. Please join me and Sue Greenwald on YouTube, Awaken Stories live right now, people.
yay, yay. Anyways, been so many reports of people finding, there's testing done. Human meat is in, say, McDonald's. That's the biggest one. And I always wondered about that years ago when I first heard it. Why are they able to do 99-cent burgers when everything else is $7 or $10 or whatever? That's why
Yeah, Robin brought that up that there's more burgers being sold than beef being grown.
it's
I
exactly
was thinking the other day the fillers that they might put in there, but they're
yeah,
saying 100% beef patties.
yeah.
So I mean, what are they doing? Grinding up the bones into powder and mixing them with the meat?
They totally
The
are.
numbers aren't adding up. They really aren't.
The
Like
numbers
Robin was
don't add
saying.
up. Yeah. So I saw a video a few days ago, and I hate to, again, I'm sorry to always bring up negative stuff, but it kind of is negative that we're talking about. Um, this woman found it like a child's tooth in a chicken nugget. All right. So they have been putting that kind of stuff into our food, and there's other food sources, but they're grinding up the remains. Let's just put it that way, and putting
Yeah, a
it.
lot of that could be false flags. I remember Kentucky Fried Chicken years ago. They would find rats. People would take pictures of rats in their chicken.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, come on, people. The people behind the counter, they got to grab whatever they're grabbing and deep fry it. But it's a lot of false flags, I believe.
But
Um,
it's true.
One
But
thing, you get a restaurant that's doing good, and that's your competition, right? So, what do you do to that restaurant that you don't want in your neighborhood because you own 10 restaurants? You go in there in the middle of the night with a big 5-gallon bucket full of E. coli and you rub it on all the stainless steel everywhere. and a week later, everybody's got the shits, and the health department comes in and shuts them down.
We're
I mean,
not going to do that.
that's the
What I,
false flags that the cabal can do, and they do it all the time.
well, what I'm saying is that there literally is human meat in the fast food. All right, that's what I'm saying. I was trying to be a little bit more discreet, but it is there. They've tested it for 20 years. We've seen the results, but people are still eating it because they're addicted. They're programmed to eat
Yeah,
it.
see, that reminds me of a story I can't tell.
Okay.
I'm a personal witness to what I've seen,
Yeah.
and that goes back to the 55-gallon drums with human remains in there, and going to the processing plant.
Mm,
The cabal, they don't, the small time criminal, if they commit a murder, they got to go try to find a place out in the desert and bury them, and all this other, put them in the freezer, and we're getting pretty gruesome here, but with these people, they just send them to the packing plant or to the crematorium, and they don't have to worry because
right.
they're the best at the top of what they do, and that's crime.
Yeah. Yeah. So that is out there, the human thing in McDonald's and the other fast food and hot dogs. Don't eat that stuff. Okay. It's out there. So
Well, if you know how those little Vienna sausages and stuff are made, you wouldn't really eat them anyway. But I like them. When you're hungry, I've ate Vienna sausages in my truck many a times. Just pop the can in because you're hungry,
yeah.
and they're $1.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you think about it while you're eating it, how it's made, it's
Yeah. Don't think about that. And obviously, if it's too cheap, there's a reason why it's cheap. But then you
sure.
also hear news reports of the lab grown meat that they and also the glue. They can make pieces of meat look like a steak and you'll never know it. Of course. And that totally creeps me out. It's like I don't want to eat anything that's not real. You know.
Yeah. I shop the discount aisle. What's on sale, or I call it the green meat aisle because
Ooh,
they got an expiration date on a package. So the day it expires, they sell it for half off. Well, I've lived my whole life buying that half off stuff. So I nicknamed it the green meat section.
yeah. Yeah.
And I forgot what I was going to say
Well,
there. I
well,
really,
that is another thing. They're keeping you in poverty, so you do eat the lower quality foods. And of course, what are they doing to everyone in the world right now? The food sources are disappearing, right? On
yeah,
purpose.
I know
All
where
the,
I was going with it.
yeah,
The fake meat, the plant-based meat, it's always in the discount aisle because nobody's buying it. Um, a hamburger made from plants.
yeah,
People just
don't,
don't want to get a hamburger that's made out of a plant.
yeah, yeah. Because you don't know what they're really doing to it. They're creating whatever concoction. It's going in your body. It's going into your cells. You don't want that, you know. And so we're off on a little bit of a tangent, but it is relevant because we talked about the trafficking and what they're doing to the children and the other people that are missing. Well, they do take their remains and dispose of them, and they're doing it in a way that creates addiction to what is in the food. Okay, do you know what I'm trying to say?
Mhm.
And it is actually legal in the US to eat human meat in all but two states, or maybe it's one state. Legal. All right.
Yeah,
Now,
I think Robin gets into all that stuff.
like,
I
what?
just try to stay busy so I don't have to think about all that
That's
crazy
nasty.
nonsense.
Nasty. And
I think if I didn't have if I don't stay busy, um, working in the yard, staying busy doing things, I think my mind would just fry from all
yeah,
my knowledge that I
yeah.
really do. So
Yeah,
I
well,
always told my son, stay busy, work, don't think about it all. Just
yeah.
stay
Well,
busy,
you've
keep your
seen a
mind
lot of
occupied.
this firsthand. You've experienced some of it firsthand. So I know how thick those containers are. Like you can bang on them and
You can't get out.
yeah,
There's no way in hell.
there's no seams, there's no air holes, there's no nothing, right?
Yeah, you can't get out until they let you out. You might as well not even try.
Yeah.
They're thick steel. You could kick on it all day long. You break your foot.
Yep.
I was actually thrown in a dog cage once with this other girl, and I think I broke my foot. I know I hurt my foot, but I actually kicked the door off the cage. I sat there just kicking it. I wanted to get out of that dog cage so bad,
Yeah.
and then I let her out as well. But I dented that door so bad just trying to get out of that dog cage, and it didn't matter. They were right there to grab me.
What about the girl? What happened to her?
We both went back into the dog cage, but
Okay. Well, you know what? You can't just sit there and let it happen. You have to try. So,
oh, I've tried so many times. I tried. You know, MK Ultra is the most powerful weapon. It's huge.
yeah.
It
Well,
really is.
well,
And then
look,
having a tracking device in you, if you run down the neighborhood through people's backyards, they find you. I've done that, or if you go out in the woods and you just try to run away through the woods, they'll find you. It's like a no win-win to try to get away.
yeah. And they have technology far beyond what we know of. All right. And they had it back then. So we think something is new or just being developed. They have it. We the people don't. All right. So they have the leg up on us. All right. And we don't want any of our people to be captive, to be taken, to be living in poverty, in horrible circumstances. Everyone should be free. So
It's
that's
so
why
true. It
getting the
really
story
is.
out there is pertinent to everyone on this planet.
We only have one life to live, and we all need to make the best of it. And we need a government that wants us to live the best of it instead of allowing the flow of drugs and the homeless for our veterans and everybody. We need to get in there and change the way the upper class and the people are ruling over us for us to live better.
Yeah,
It's so true.
yeah. Well,
But they like keeping us in poverty and not being able to get the story out and hold hands. Um, you know, I would love to have a million man march. I really would, of just, we the people saying, hey, we're tired of being ruled by criminals.
yeah. Well, what's happening is we've got our phones. We've all got to work one or two jobs just to survive and pay our rent, our mortgage, our car payment, our food. And we're struggling, right? And we're in this lower vibration where we're all struggling. We're all just trying to get by. There's no attention, there's no connection with people. We're just doing the bare minimum we can to live. All right. So there's no bigger, broader picture about, helping the world. We're just trying to get our family to serve our family food, to get everyone to school, to get everyone to work on time, whatever it might be. There's no broader thoughts than that for the average citizen.
Yeah, my biggest thing is I think about these people that have families and loved ones, and they want that little house out in the country or in the city or wherever they want to raise their family and the future of that family. And I don't see the way we're going, I don't see a future for them. I really don't. So that's my biggest thing. My biggest fight is to let's try all join together and try to make that future happen for them instead of them living under the rule of, criminals at the
Yeah.
top.
So like I said, it feels negative because we're talking about these horrible experiences you had, kind of going off road a little bit with it, but it's all related. But think of what your life could have been like or might have been like had this not happened to you. Like what influence, positive influence, loving influence, helpful influence you might have had on the people, right? And that potentiality was taken away from you.
Well, hopefully we can get the story out and bring it all back. I'm
Yep.
hoping before you know, I leave this world to the next. I hope I can get my story out. Hey, look what these rulers can do to the son of a president. Look what they can do to the president. These criminals in power. They can take lives and money and keep us as slaves. And that's my goal, that everybody wakes up before I leave so they can have a better life when I'm gone.
Well, your
I'm
story is getting out there this year, 2025. Full
Yeah.
truth and disclosure.
I lost you, Sue.
Up, I'm still here.
Oh, there you are.
Right.
You people on TikTok Live, join me and Sue Greenwald on YouTube Awakened Stories, please, because I'm going to sign off of here. So much love and thank you for sharing the story to all of you. Join us there, please, please. Peace out.
So,
That was hard doing that.
yeah.
But I lit that cigarette and a big warning came up. You're going to lose your audience because you're smoking.
Oh my golly. Wow. Wow. So basically, we've talked about getting your story out there. And what I'm seeing that you'll be doing is you're going to be going around the world and you're going to be telling people your experiences and giving them words of hope. Because there are so many others that have lived in these circumstances that they're either afraid to come out or they've tried to come out. And again, money is a huge factor in our life, right? We don't have the money for lawyers. We don't have this. We don't have that. We're struggling. There's so many other people that will come forward with their stories. Our heads are going to spin. It's
Yeah.
going to be
I know all these
big.
people that were stealing identities, and two examples are George, the man that stole my identity when I
Yeah.
was a child, and my sister. They all become lawyers.
Yeah.
Us little guys, we can't fight the lawyers and their thousands and thousands of dollar fees and going to court. And so they all become lawyers and they do their deception, and
Yeah. Yeah.
it's huge.
I've been mad at them for taking your identity for a long, since I've known you, but and when you look back at it, they were just kids too, right? And they
Yeah.
had a similar experience that they had to do what they had to do and they didn't know any better or they were in survival mode. We don't know what that is.
Well, see, I was in right there with them, being
Yeah.
taught the same things they were, and it's family is everything, and it's money and power is everything, and that's all that matters. And however you achieve it, it doesn't matter if you have to take
Yeah.
children's lives or whatever. That's how they were raised. But you know, I didn't have any hate towards him. I disliked him until he wanted my life. He didn't want to share. Um, you know, me coming out and exposing, hey, you're a fake. You've been a fake your whole life.
Mhm.
He was willing to kill me over that.
Yeah.
And I really don't blame him because he'd committed so much crime in his lifetime. I would have exposed it, but he's not alive now. He got unalived for being such a jerk and a criminal, but yeah, he wanted me unalived for that,
Right. Right.
just for being me. All these attempts, I used to go crazy, all the attempts on my life, people trying to kill me left and right. And it was like, it's really mentally frustrating, but it's like not for what I've done. It's not like I went into somebody's house and robbed them, or I went into somebody's house and I unalived them and took all their possessions, or nothing I did, but just for who I was, the son of a president. They wanted me doggone just for being me, just for being born to my mother and father.
Yeah. Well, you were used as a pawn, right? You were a means to an end, a way for them to get money when they needed it or wanted it, a way for them to eventually control the Kennedy assets, right? You were out of the picture.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we've talked about a lot of this in our previous videos. For new people, we've talked about like why, the deep state would, steal someone's identity. It's to take their resources, their fame and fortune, their resources, their money, their estate, their power and control over whatever they have.
Yep. Take everything
Yeah.
instantly.
It's-
People, the organized crime becomes billionaires instantly.
yeah.
People don't realize what they're doing. We're sharing. They use identity theft.
Yep.
Um, I've been watching Alfred Hitchcock. I think I've watched all the episodes 3 or 4 times, and that's from the 50s and the 60s. And there is so many programs on there about stealing someone's identity. I watched one last night, and well, two actually. And Hollywood is so into what's really going on, and they share it. But yeah, there was a few episodes of stealing somebody's total life and identity on that program. And that was from the 50s and 60s when all this started happening. The cabal, they put it right out there. But Sue, would now be a good time to share my new book that's coming out.
Yes, let's hear about that. Let's hear about it.
It's at the printers right now on the conveyor belt, and it is The Historian Tale, and it is the amazing return of President Kennedy's son, John F. Kennedy Jr., and Mary W. Maxwell. And my picture is going to be a little bigger on the book.
Yeah,
And this is just a printout that I'm
yeah,
holding
yeah.
up. But
It's a mock-up of the cover, right?
so it's coming, people. It's coming.
And when will the book be available and how will people get it? I guess we'll be announcing it, right?
Yeah, I'm just going with the program. I called Mary this morning and she said it is on the conveyor now. So, how long before it's in our hands? You know, I'm thinking a week.
Wow. Wow, that's not much time. I was thinking,
Yeah, and I believe it'll be going to Amazon. I'm not sure, but we'll have copies here shortly
yep.
to and I'm not sure on the price. My book, Stolen Identity, it's 19.99. I always thought that was a little high because I want the story out to everybody, and a lot of people can't afford 19.99. So I'm not sure. I told Mary that we need to lower the price on this one, just so more people can read it and get the truth.
Right.
We got to cover the cost of publishing and
Right.
everything and make a buck. That's what life's all about, making a buck, so I can enjoy a smoke now and then.
And go up watch shopping.
Yeah,
Um, when John makes a sale and he gets his small commission, I guess you'd say, from Amazon, he uses it for food and living expenses, but also he buys more books to donate and share around, right? So
yeah.
that happens all the time. He's been giving books away, and I actually told him he should be selling the books, not giving them away, but it is what it is, right? And
Yeah, I mean, you get what you give. You get what you give. You give a book, somebody sends you $10 in the mail.
yeah,
It's a wonderful, wonderful thing.
yeah,
I've always believed it's mojo. You get what you get. Speaking
yeah,
of mojo, um, Mojo Journey on TikTok and Clapper. She does lives and shares my book all the time. A wonderful, wonderful Lion supporter donated 5 pendants, the large pendants, one of each color. I'm going to send them to Mojo so she can give them away to people sharing the story. And there's a few other things Robin said. I'm sorry, I'm losing my voice, but King Smarty sent me some wonderful pieces. And Robin said that we're going to give them also to Mojo, some of them, so she can give away some of King Smarty's healing products as well.
right. So, we always talk about this, and maybe I should show your website real quick, if that's okay.
That's
I'm
wonderful.
I'm going to go, well, okay. Hang on a second, because, I wasn't ready. I always talk about the website lately because I'm very excited about the website. So I'm going to share that, but I'm going to go right over to the shop part and talk about the pendants. So on the shop page of John's website. So the website is the real John F. Kennedy JR.com. All right. This is the only legitimate website. All right. Any other website, whether they give products or not, is not legitimate. But this one has the pendants. So there are 5 different colors, and then there's small and large, and they all look like this one. This is the rainbow color. And I like this one kind of the best because you can see the picture very clearly, the cover of your book, but it shows you the size of the small and the large. Okay. And they're kind of a dog tag style. But the important thing, other than they are collector's items and everybody wants one, The important thing is that they all have King Smarties healing and protective frequencies in them. So every pendant is protecting you against EMFs and other various radiations, various diseases, injuries, and illnesses. Right. So you may feel it right away. It might be quick acting with you, or it might be a little bit slower. It kind of depends on, what you've got going on. But like you've been wearing yours for about a year, John, and we've watched you every week look better, 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 better.
Yeah, it's a big mental thing too with me. You know, um, post-traumatic stress disorder. I love this thing. I
Yeah,
do.
yeah,
Um, it's wonderful. People ask me about it. I start getting stressed out. I just grab a hold of it and say, no
yeah,
worries, no worries.
yeah. It's like a lucky, lucky charm, isn't it? I do the
Yeah, I was
same
thinking, if somebody was to take a shot at me, it would probably hit this and save my life.
thing. Well, I think you're gonna not have that issue because they're gonna be staying away from you. But this is a big deal. So people that want to help John by buying the pendant, he has money to live, also to buy more books, which and there's the pendant which you get, which again as a collector's item, but also has these healing and protective frequencies in it. Really exciting.
Yeah, and hopefully I can get with her on the website
Yeah.
and I'll see what we can do and start
Yeah.
getting some of these out there. I think it's more for the older crowd, which is awesome because that's majority, that they remember my father and the assassination and my uncle. And I'm sharing what they did that they didn't tell you. That was made world public. I'm sharing the stories, what they did, and how they unalived my family for identity theft.
Well, I remember as a girl, watching your uncle's funeral, and of course I was a kid and I was like, you know, the TV was on, all right, and people were kind of standing around the house watching that. And way back in the day, people didn't watch TV like they do now. They watched it when there was a show or program they wanted to see. They weren't sitting there all day long on the couch watching TV like they are now. There were only usually three channels, and you had to get up and physically walk across the room to change the TV. It just wasn't
Mhm.
a thing like we have it now. But
Right.
that was a very big deal. Very.
Excuse me for a second, Sue. Robin, Robin, Robin.
I'll go to some other page. I'll go to the home page for the
I guess
website.
she can't hear me. She must have her headphones on or something.
Yeah, yeah, she's on the chat. So I'm very excited about your website and the content of it.
Yeah.
And you just show the pendants every week.
Can you give Bandit his drops? He's got a cough going on.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And another exciting thing is
He was coughing though.
down at the bottom of the homepage are some videos that you can see. If you're new to the channel, you may not have seen these before. All right, there's the picture I wanted to show, John, of your dad and you. Okay, so of course it's too big for my screen to share.
Yeah, we were about the same age there, more
Yeah,
than likely. I
yeah,
have very few pictures of me and when I was young, and the Quigleys got rid of all the pictures of me when I was young.
yeah. But
But
I mean, if you were to make them both sides like the same skin color, if you could do that, it would be shockingly identical, right? And
a
there's
lot of
more.
people say I have my father's eyes. I've had a lot of eye infections here lately. I had one a couple of weeks ago in this eye, and I got one now. So my eyes are all puffed up, but a lot of people say I look a lot like my father.
Yeah. This particular video that I'm showing with your dad, the two pictures, exposing and eliminating demonic cabal with JFK Jr. Full disclosure, we should make that say 2025. Okay. Um, this came
Yeah,
out and
25 this year. This
they
year.
took this video right down immediately. So we have a different
25
color.
people, 25.
Oh, that's so funny. I put 3 or 4 pictures of you out there. It's just so funny. Yeah. So I'm very excited for you. The truth is coming out. People have the opportunity to see these videos, not just mine. Everyone else is asking various questions, getting their questions answered. You can look at the gallery of all the pictures, compare the earlobes, like we've talked about, um, and make your own decision, right? On the left here is a beautiful shot of your ear,
Oh, thank
right?
you.
And so we can compare that ear to your current ear to see whether or not it's legitimate. And
I apologize, Sue. I'm trying to multitask here
yeah, it's
and
not
do
working
this
yet.
and that. I think the trash bags are right out on the front out there in a box.
It's okay. Well, I'm just wanting to show people this, and I feel like we're at a good resting spot for the day. You,
And thank you for that. It's so much appreciated. The
of course,
Lions and the supporters that people go and get a book or a pendant, and
yeah,
it's much appreciated. It helps so much.
yeah.
You know,
Every
I was at the post office and I was telling the lady there because I had a couple envelopes. She's like, "I'm seeing you more and more." And I said, "Yeah, isn't that great?" I said, 2 years ago, I was walking in front of this post office, broke, looking for change on the street to survive. And now people are helping and supporting, and we're making a better life, which is awesome.
Well, one of the points I wanted to make earlier that I forgot to say is, we talked about all the negative and dark things that have happened to you, and we went into a little detail and one off, but despite that, despite everything that they've done to you and all the horrors you had to endure and the betrayal and all the negative, you have the most loving heart, right? You
Oh,
really
thank
do.
you.
You're almost too generous, okay? Giving too many books away and not selling them, but you're extremely generous. You want to share with people. You want to help people. You're putting your life out on the line right now to get this story out for others.
Yeah, Robin's totally awesome. She's the same way.
Yeah,
I can get with Robin and say, "Hey, let's gift this person something," and
yeah,
but she's like, let's do it," which is so cool. You
yeah.
know, when I met Robin a year ago, she came here. She's like, "What do you need, John? What do you need?" Um, I was like, "Well, I need a computer so I can go on live with Sue." And boom, I have this computer now. But yeah, she has a wonderful giving soul, and I feel I'm the same way. I'd give my shirt off the back to somebody needed it because
Yep,
I know where I can go to the thrift store and get one for $1. And if I don't have $1, they'll give me credit. And if
yeah.
I don't have credit, I'll just go look in the paper machines and soda machines and all that and find some change and then go back and get it.
And I did that as a kid. We'd go to the phone booth and we'd look for a dime, and then it went up to a quarter. Wow. Yeah, the good old days.
Yeah, they help out in a pinch sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm in Bullhead City. Laughlin is I'm thinking 5 miles away. But I walked there. I got tired. I was in poor health. I was having heart failure going on. I walked back, and here in Bullhead City, it's hot as heck. So I was like, I gotta have water. I gotta have water. So I went over to a water machine and I stuck my finger in the thing and I pulled out $1. And then I went and found a little paper cup that was laying in the trash. I stuck a quarter in and I got a gallon's worth of water in this little paper cup.
Oh,
But it
no.
was like God was taking
Wow.
care of me. I didn't die of thirst that day.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, no person ever should have to go through that, but the son of our US president should never have to go through that either.
Oh,
No,
and they loved it too. They absolutely loved keeping me down,
yeah.
so I couldn't share.
Yeah, they probably think it's funny. They're probably joking about it right now.
Yeah, but now that the story's getting out world, they ain't laughing.
The
They're
jokes on
wondering they're
you.
wondering what they're gonna do when it all gets exposed.
Yeah. And it will be exposed.
And
So
we're exposing it this year.
thank you, everyone that's watching this, for doing whatever you're doing and sharing the story. That's greatly appreciated. And you can see John has the loving heart that I mentioned, and he's very motivated to get this story out there. Like, he will basically go online and, in the at the drop of a hat to get the story out there. He's not taking a day off, right? So, all right. Well, thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next week sometime, I hope.
Lions, thank you with all my heart. Keep roaring.
Yeah. Thank you, John.
Thank you, Sue.